If you want to hide a child's true identity from them, you have to control the physical evidence. You cut away their hair so the natural curls never form. You script their backstory so the color of their skin makes sense. Our protagonist is 23 years old. He's known he was adopted his entire life, and at age 13, he started asking the natural questions about exactly where he came from. His parents gave him a very specific origin story. They told him his birth mother was a white woman from South America, and they claimed his birth father was a white man from Italy. They used these two locations to explain away one obvious physical trait, his naturally tan skin. But to sell the story completely, his adoptive parents added one crucial detail. They insisted they had met both of his birth parents face-to-face before finalizing the adoption. That story held up until he reached his teenage years and decided to grow his hair out. Instead of the straight locks his parents expected, it grew into thick, heavy curls. They hated the change and demanded he keep it short. He finally moved away for college, where he met his girlfriend. As a Black American, she recognized his curl pattern immediately and taught him how to properly care for his natural hair texture. One day, she braided it for him. He called his parents on FaceTime to show off the look, and they panicked, screaming at him for wearing his hair that way. His girlfriend quickly pointed out the massive gap in their logic. There is no reason for an Italian and South American couple to be terrified of a braided hairstyle. The physical evidence was openly contradicting the story. This diagram shows 10 straight years of his search for his birth mother. He used the exact names and locations his parents gave him, and every single time he hit a dead end. With the world stalled during the pandemic lockdown, he finally took a DNA kit his girlfriend had gifted him and sent it out. The results came back a few weeks later. The box for his supposed white Italian heritage was empty. His DNA proved he is Black and Middle Eastern. Specifically, he has strong ancestral ties to Iran. This Iranian heritage gave him a facial structure that allowed him to pass as European his entire life. The math here is cold and precise. His parents admitted they met his birth mother and father in person. They looked at a Black and Middle Eastern couple, then spent the next 2 decades feeding their son fake names that guaranteed his search would fail. He brought the DNA results to his parents, expecting them to admit they had been misinformed. Instead, they exploded in rage, not because the truth was out, but because he had dared to take the test in the first place. His mother immediately started crying. She claimed that his true racial background came with a societal stigma, so she erased his race on purpose to help him fit in. His father didn't bother with tears. He shouted at his son and demanded he immediately abandon everything he had just learned and act like the DNA test never happened. Their reactions made their priorities clear. They weren't offering a confession or an apology. They were issuing a command for him to bury the truth again. He smashed his phone onto the floor and walked out of the house, leaving the argument behind. Instead of supporting him, his siblings launched a coordinated attack. They flooded his social media accounts, reprimanding him for upsetting their parents. Their argument was simple. They claimed the parents were completely justified. They told him that because he passed as white, he had an easy life, and he had no right to complain. Passing for white might have changed how he was treated in public, but it didn't change the fact that for 10 years, his parents watched him search for people they knew didn't exist. Stripping away a child's heritage so they can be more palatable to society is a destructive act. When protection requires the total erasure of who you actually are, the motive becomes secondary to the harm. Which leaves us with an uncomfortable question. Does shielding a child from the harsh realities of prejudice ever give you the right to overwrite their existence? His parents think they saved him from a harder life. He thinks they robbed him of his truth. So what's the verdict? Is he wrong to blow up at his family? Or are they guilty of stealing his identity?